Hi, and welcome back to Copic in the Craft Room. We're doing some more spring coloring here this week. I've got a little gnome that I found at Your Next Stamp. This is another stamp company that I have not used. And I know it's not a brand new company, but it's one that I was just introduced to. Obviously, I am more of a novice stamper than many of you are. Been coloring with my Copics for a long time, but discovering all these stamp companies, and so trying to continue to broaden my horizons there. So Your Next Stamp is the group this one's from, and a friend online introduced me to them. And they also do a real neat line of Disney images, some of the princesses and some of the fairy tales. So very fun, cute images. This one is called Cute Gnomes. So I am going to color up. I did this little guy sitting on a mushroom and a butterfly, and then I might add either the flowers or one of these sayings either with the card or inside the card. As you know, that's always last minute with me. Once I get going, I never know what I'm going to do with the actual card. But I'm going to start coloring, have some colors picked out, so we'll zoom in and get coloring. And hopefully you will color along or just enjoy watching someone color. Thanks for joining me. We'll get going on this. I'm starting with an R32 on that mushroom top. It's my lightest red that I'm going to use, and then an R35 to start adding that mid-tone. Notice I'm not hitting the edges yet. That red I want to be real careful with. R37 is going to be my darkest tone. It's coming in the deepest shadows. Doing some blending with the R32. R37 again to really hit those deepest shadows. C0 is going to go along the shaded side of that mushroom base. And then C1, it's just going down along that left edge and up underneath the top of the little mushroom, and a little bit of C3. Going back to C0 and all the way down to a colorless blender to soften that edge. And I'm also using the colorless blender to push some of the red back out of those little dots on top of the mushroom. B34 is going in on the little pants, and then also the hat of our little gnome. Got to turn him around to get all those edges. And this is a B37 that I'm coming in with. I forgot to set my cap down, sorry. B34 to soften those. It really doesn't need a whole lot more. I could do more contrast, but I chose to just do 2. G40 for the shirt, and G43 for some shading. Soften that with G40. And then I'm going to do the ground with that same group of greens. So G40 on the ground, keeping it pretty loose. G43. Again, I'm just scribbling here. I'm not trying to blend or shade, just adding texture. G46 to do one more layer of that. I'm using the 0 because I just hit, or the colorless blender, getting some of those colors pushed back again. Got a little green on the bottom. G46 for the cuffs and the belt on the little shirt. E31 is the base of the boots. And then E23 is going in for a little bit of shading, and E25. C1 is hitting those mushroom little dots again, just to add a little bit of shading, and C3. Y35 for some little details, the little center of the flower and butterfly wings. YR14 or 14 for shading, and then R35 for the dots. E25 is going in on the body of the butterfly, and C1, I'm just adding dots to his beard for a little texture. C3,
and then softening with C0, kind of dotting on top of that. YR20, so YR00 for some skin tone, and then YR01 for some shading. A little bit of E93 for some cheeks, little rosy cheeks. Then I'm going to start on the sky, and this takes a while. I am starting with my colorless blender, and I'm sorry I'm falling off the screen here. BG000 is coming on top of that colorless blender. So I do the colorless blender first, and many of you have seen me do this before, and then I flick that color out onto the colorless blender. That helps it fade to white by adding that base layer of the colorless blender kind of where I want that sky to end. So the BG000 goes out over the colorless blender, and that's going to help me soften that edge to just let it fade to white. I only do a piece at a time because I know I can't do the whole thing and keep it wet. So I've gone back again with colorless blender, and now back in with my BG000. Filling that in using nice kind of small circles to get a nice even coverage with that BG marker. And then I'm starting on the card. So I'm trimming down my image just a little bit, and I tend to be a corner rounder. So I like doing that on a lot of cards. My cards are extremely simple. I've got these 2 pattern papers. I'm going to create kind of a sky and ground for him to sit on. And I'm using Express It 2-sided tape that I am sticking those papers down with. Real easy to use, tears off the roll. Then going in and using some foam tape from Express It to add my image on top. And then you know me, now I'm going to fiddle with all the pieces because I've not made a plan ahead of time. So I'm going to stamp this little canvas tag with thanks, and that's also from the set of stamps. And then I am tying a bow with some twine. And I'm going to add that on to my little tag. And I tried some tape, but it's not sticking real well on the canvas, so I scrapped that idea. And since that image is raised, I went ahead and put a little piece of foam tape on the back to attach.
One more little card ready to go for a thank you. I'm going to use some liquid adhesive, probably the Express, to tack this down. But other than that, it is all done and ready for the mail. Thanks to this new stamp set. Again, that's by Your Next Stamp. And very fun. They have a whole lot of fun stuff. They have some penguins that I might do in the next few weeks as well, because I know I had a request for some black and white. But of course they're swinging and with rainbows, so right along the spring lines. So we might tackle that one in the next few weeks. But I hope you have a happy, colorful week this week. See you next time.